government also governs Washington, D.C., with 720,000 people, aka the seat of government, and it affects U.S. citizens living abroad. But the 573 federally recognized Native American tribes, on 326 federally administered reservations, with 1.2 million residents total, are largely left to local control. And then, within states and territories, there are cities, counties, towns, townships, and school districts with their own local governments. But this book covers the federal government and parts of state governments, since that's what our Constitution establishes. Now that you know the federal government's entire jurisdiction, let's continue. Because, in truth, I find our historical fixation sort of masturbatory, to the point of muddying the actual rules. It's like approaching a recipe by analyzing the mindset of the chef when he devised it. Were there exigent circumstances at the time of his cooking? Were his ingredients limited because of weather conditions or a lack of proximity to trade? Did he consider other chefs' approaches before attempting his own? This may bring greater understanding to the dish, but also just tell me how to make the fucking quiche. I guess what I'm describing is the difference between U.S. history and civics. U.S. history leans on memorization and passive learning, while civics is our participation toolkit, the study of government, and the rights and responsibilities of being a citizen. These include understanding how government works at all levels and knowing how we can use it to better our lives. But right now, our schools teach way more U.S. history than civics. As of this writing, 30 states require at least a year of U.S. history, while only 8 states require a year of civics or government. If we only spent a year learning how to read between kindergarten and 12th grade, we'd also suck at it. Maybe that's why proficiency in civics across K through 12 hasn't reached 30% in the last decade. But civics isn't some ditchable elective, it's vital stuff. George Washington even tried to create a national university around it. In his 8th and final State of the Union address, he told Congress, "A primary object of such a national institution should be the education of our youth in the science of government. In a republic, what species of knowledge can be equally important, and what duty more pressing on its legislature than to patronize a plan for communicating it to those who are to be the future guardians of the liberties of the country?" So, our first president thought it was the most important subject, and 224 years later, just 8 states require a year of it. Great job, everyone. The idea for this book came about last year. I was cleaning my apartment when I came across my pocket constitution from 8th grade. I was lucky my school distributed them. Out of curiosity, I decided to reread it. And honestly, it was rough. I know it's 200 plus years old, but the punctuation seemed picked from a hat. The sentences are dense. The phrasing is odd. For something so important, it struck me how inaccessible it was. We can argue about grammar and whether it's a necessity or a classist relic, but let's be honest. If someone wrote and spoke in the style of the Constitution today, you would keep postponing plans with them. In September of 1789, 6 months after the Constitution took effect, Thomas Jefferson wrote to James Madison about treating constitutions as living works so that past generations didn't force outdated principles onto future ones. He wrote, "Every constitution then, and every law, naturally expires at the end of 19 years. If it be enforced longer, it is an act of force and not of right." I don't know about brand new constitutions every 19 years, but I do know that, of every country in the world, we have the oldest constitution still in use. So, at a minimum, I can support updating its presentation every few years so that new generations can grasp it. Because before we decide to change the Constitution, or fight to keep it, we should know what it actually says. And while it's true that the Constitution was originally written by a few of us, just for some of us, today it belongs to all of us. We have a